Alright, today we are going to look at Chapter 7, Section 3, called Resolving Conflicts. First thing we're going to do if we need to resolve any conflict is we've got to find a constructive solution. Alright? And what we're going to look really for then is we're going to look for a conflict resolution. And what that simply means is that you're going to solve a disagreement in a way that satisfies both sides. Conflict resolution happens in one way, shape, or form. Conflicts will be resolved, but doesn't mean always both sides are happy with the results. But it is a method in which we try to encourage people to do just so that we don't get too bent out of shape over something that doesn't need to be bent out of shape over. And the solution we're going to specifically talk about is what we call a talk solution, alright? Talk solution is just that. We're going to take a time out. We're going to take some time, catch our breath, make sure that we do not do or say something that we might turn around and regret saying it. Next thing we're going to talk about is then allow each person to tell his or her side of the story. This is meant to make sure that everything is kind of in the open. Alright, so like we said, allow each person to tell their side of the story. From there, we want to let each person ask questions. Okay? Here's where you can really get a lot of the nitty-gritty out of the way. Maybe find out what the disagreement is within them, and then even just, maybe they can find what ground they don't understand about each other. Hopefully from here you can actually make the solution fairly easily. Last thing is keep brainstorming, alright? Try looking at it from a different point of view. Try finding different solutions that makes everyone kind of happy. Now, the next thing is we're going to talk about what's going to be called a win-win solution, alright? I'm not going to lie to you, win-win solutions don't happen very often, alright? They are, I'm not saying here or there, but they don't happen as often as we'd probably like to see them happen. But a win-win solution is an agreement or outcome that gives each side something it wants, alright? And if you follow politics, there's no such thing as a win-win solution. It's either one side or the other side. In a win-win solution, what you really got to do is find what you have in common and build it from there, alright? This is why I say in politics this doesn't work very well. In politics, too much of one side wants one thing, the other side wants another thing. And instead of finding what they could work on and build to make a resolution or a solution that both sides win, it just kind of becomes, no, you're wrong, it's very childish in a certain aspect of it. So, a win-win solution means that each side gives something. That's mean if I'm arguing with someone about something else, that means, okay, what are we disagreeing on? What's the problem? How can we fix it? And that maybe means I give a little, they give a little, then in return I receive a little, they receive a little. So no one really is an overwhelming winner or loser. Now, if you can't come to an agreement, you may have to come to what we call a need for mediation. And this really is going to happen when no one can agree on a solution. And you've tried, and it isn't there. So then, like I said, what we call for a mediation. A mediation is a process in which a third person, a mediator, helps those in conflict find a solution. Alright? Almost every area there is some sort of mediation. Even as teachers, if we have a disagreement with something, we can go to mediation if we feel like things are not dealt with properly. And if you listen to sports, especially when it comes to suspensions and fines, they often go to a mediator to come up with a solution. And we'll talk about the process right now. The process basically means that you're going to have two sides who do not agree, or two sides of people who disagree. And you're going to have a third party involved, which is called the mediator. And they're neutral. They're not there to figure out who's right or wrong. They're there to try coming up with a solution that makes both sides happy. And your book does a very good job talking about mediators, and that they need to be excellent in communication. Need to be able to communicate really well, just like by how they ask their questions, how they give their possible solution, and they got to be able to sell it to both sides. A mediator will listen to both sides of the dispute. They have to. If they only listen to one side and come with the version, that isn't really a mediation. That's just more of a judge, jury, and sentencer. That doesn't work. Like I said, once they've listened to both sides, they're going to look for a compromise that makes both sides somewhat happy. At the same time, it's probably going to upset both sides a little bit. But they're there to figure out what's best in certain situations. Now, that does not mean that both sides are going to be equally happy. It just means that they're willing to try finding the middle ground and see if maybe one side's being a little too overzealous versus the other side. See, I forgot how to spell the word side. An arrangement in which each side gives up something to reach a satisfying solution. This is kind of where the word compromise comes in. That's the definition for compromise. And that, I guess, like it just says, it's trying to give a satisfying solution that, like I said, there's no clear winner and clear loser. Although in today's society, it's either a winner or loser. There's no way in between. In mediation, they don't care about winners or losers. They care that they just try finding a solution that makes it, shall I say, somewhat fair for each side. Last thing we're going to talk about is peer mediation. Peer mediation is students who mediate within a school. Believe it or not, I've seen students who mediate situations for each other, and they do a pretty good job. I've seen others who mediate a situation, and, well, by the time the mediation is done, you can tell who they're friends with. The biggest thing is, if you do any type of peer mediation, make sure that you actually listen to both sides. And the other part of that is you got to put out of your mind who your friends are and actually listen to the situation, not just picking on, so-and-so's your best friend and the other one's just your friend. It's got to be, you got to separate yourself from any feelings or anything like that. And that's a hard thing to do. Being a teacher and educator, we do this on a day in, day out basis. A lot of times I have to listen to kids talk about something where they're disagreement. At times when I look at them and I just got to say, you know what, I think you're wrong because of this. Or sometimes I look at them and say, you know what, you two need to figure this out, and there's a solution you might want to use. But mediation is just that you've got to be neutral. You cannot have an interest on one side or the other. You need to be neutral. All right. That's today's lesson. Fairly short, fairly quick. Have a good day. Oh yeah, make sure you read the chapter.